based in New York, and today I'm here to talk to you about getting a good sound. So I think first thing is first, let's tune the instrument. And there is something I want to get across in this segment about tuning an instrument. I know most people are using an app on their phone or something that clips on to the scroll, but first let me tune and then I will digress into what I'd like to, the point I'd like to get across. A equals 440, kind of set it on the bridge. To illustrate and point out is just because the tuner says that my bass is in tune, you should really be checking the harmonics here in the position. So let's do a little tune checking, fact checking. That's kind of sharp. So you always want to check these harmonics because you can't always trust a needle on a tuner. So part of getting a good sound is making sure your bass is in tune. It's very important. Another thing is, if we're playing with a piano, you can't be showing up to a rehearsal or a gig or a session and using your phone or your tuning device to play with a piano, because not all pianos are created and tuned equally, so to say. So, I'd like to put an emphasis on making sure you tune to the instrument that you're playing with, because it is a tempered instrument. And I would just give another word of advice. And what I personally do when I'm playing with a piano, especially in New York City, you encounter a lot of out-of-tune pianos. I ask pianists to play chords for me so I can hear how my strings are fitting within the overtone series of that instrument. Because when you ask for singular notes, there's 88 keys on a piano, and if you're tuning to single notes, your bass isn't exactly going to be in tune when that pianist starts playing chords. Getting a good sound. So what does that mean? I mean, is it in the right hand? Is it in the left hand? Well, to be honest with you, it's a little bit of both. So first I'd like to speak about the right hand. So something you can do is just play open strings. I'll demonstrate. I mean, seems simple enough, right? But there's a lot you can really think about. There's a lot of thought you can put in to the open strings that you're playing, as in the length of the note, your attack. I mean, that would be overplaying, in my opinion. So something you can do is just practice with the right hand, playing open strings. You could set a metronome to the lowest setting it goes, maybe 60 beats per minute or so. Just play. Just making sure that all the notes are even. As you can see, I was muting with my left hand. Even though I'm playing open strings, the left hand can play a role in the length of note and the quality of sound. So getting back to quality of sound, there's something I'd like to show you that's available in the PDF. So I'd like to talk about the money position. This is the area of the bass that we really get paid to play. You know, I think Ray Brown said, like, the money's like, is right here. And your sound, you know, your signature is your sound. So what are some things I do to work on my sound? Well, for example, I'll play half notes in half position. I'll show you a little exercise. It's just starting with the open E. You know, paying attention to the length and the quality of that tone. You know, sustain is important. I mean, personally, I'm someone who likes to hear a long bass note. I don't, you know, there are a lot of people around that get this really short, kind of bouncy thing, and it's, in my opinion, it's kind of like 1930s, like 1940s, but being a bass player in 2022, playing with steel strings, we can get a long sound. So again, 2, 1, 2, 2. This can be done across every string. So I'll demonstrate again on the A string. 2, 2, 2, 2. On the D string. G string. Paying attention to the evenness, the length. I mean, using little vibrato is nice. And this can really be done, in my opinion, all the way up to this D harmonic. So D, A, E, B respectively on the E string. Again, you can check it out in the PDF, starting at F sharp this time. Make sure you breathe. You know, having breath in your body will help you have breath in your playing. So, just as important as it is to have a great sound in the lower position of the bass, that translates to the entire instrument. In thumb position, it's really important to have an awareness of the quality of sound and the sustain you're getting, length of note. I'll tell you that once you start getting in this position, notes do get shorter, you know. But at the G harmonic, I mean, you can still get a really beautiful singing quality. I'll just play in this area for a second, just so you can get an idea of how beautiful the instrument really is. Sounds nice up there too. So, as you can tell, quality of sound, it's not just about playing the low notes nice, it's about playing the entire instrument. The bass, it's a big instrument. It makes a lot of different sounds. And, you know, we can cover a lot of ground. My particular bass, goes all the way from E to E. And I think it's important for you to know what your max limit is at the end of your fingerboard, because that'll really help you in knowing where the notes are. So whenever you get a chance, pick up your bass, go to the end of your fingerboard, put your finger down, and just find out what it goes to. So now I will demonstrate quality of sound, and the way I will do that is use a melody, specifically Bye Bye Blackbird. I'm going to start in the lower position, and we're going to keep all these things in mind about, length of note, quality of note, and I'll start by demonstrating in the lower position, and then I'll transition the melody to the upper register. Play the same thing in the upper register. Personally, I'm someone who really likes to play in thumb position because I find the bass really has a beautiful singing melodic quality in that area. So for comparison, I'll play the same thing in thumb position, and you decide, which do you think sounds prettier? Another thing about sound and the quality of sound, there's a little misconception going on that a good sound only occurs in the right hand. But like I said earlier, sound and quality of sound occurs in both hands. Now I would like to address a way in which the left hand plays a significant role in the quality of your sound. And I'd like to credit the great Gary Peacock, as I actually saw this in an instructional video that is out for all to see on YouTube. So, Mr. Peacock illustrates that the role of the left hand and the pressure of the fingers in the left hand is paramount in getting a good sound. I will demonstrate how you can do this yourself. So if you're playing an open string with your right hand, take your first finger. So you hear how the note's choked. My finger's just resting on the string. Little by little, add pressure on the pointer finger, and you're getting this buzzing sound. Give a little more pressure. That is really, to give you an idea of how light the pressure of your left hand should be. When you start getting this kind of sustain in this note, you know you're onto something. Obviously you can do it with the second finger. those of you that use the Rabath method, or like Cole Davis, you can use your third finger like this. But how beautiful is that? I mean, who would think that something so simple can really make that big of a difference? I'll show you, you can really squeeze the neck and play hard on the right hand. This is not, in my opinion, an attractive way to play the instrument. Things should be fluid and light. Moving on with this idea of your sound as your signature and quality of sound, I'd now like to talk about the right hand and how to draw a nice tone from the instrument. Now, a lot of people get confused. Well, how do I do that? What should my right hand look like? Where should it be? Well, Mr. Ron Carter believes that the thumb should be anchored somewhere near the end of the fingerboard. That's one thing you see, is that the right hand stays stationary. And a lot of people are out there playing with one finger. That's one way to play. So, another way, I've seen people like Buster Williams and Bob Cranshaw lead with the middle finger, the second finger. Then there are friends of mine like Doug Weiss, Ed Howard. They have kind of more of this side, kind of claw-like approach. Then, I've seen people like Joe Martin play with two fingers like this. So what is the right way? Well, what I have to tell you about that is any way in which you feel comfortable and you're able to get a good sound, that's the right way. Personally, I use all of those approaches in the right hand. So now I would like to demonstrate some exercises with attention and focus of right hand that are available in the PDF. So, to demonstrate this, I will use the one finger method with the thumb anchored at the end of the fingerboard, and I'll play an F major scale in the lower position. So you can just play half notes. Half notes. But make sure each time you strike the string, it's equal, it's similar, it's uniform. All I used was my pointer finger, and my thumb stayed anchored at the end of the fingerboard. Now I'll show you the same thing, leading with the second finger. This time we'll play a G major scale. Just making sure each note is equal. Now I'll show you the way I like to play and the way I personally feel that I'm able to draw my best sound out of the instrument. And that's more with this claw-like approach. demonstrate now is the same thing, but I don't think there's one way to skin a cat. I'm constantly making decisions in real time as to benefit the best sound I can possibly get in that moment. Just look at my right hand and see I'm using all of these techniques. Another exercise I would like to demonstrate is the vomit exercise, because in this exercise, for instance, I will finger an A flat and then slide up an octave. So I play an A flat and slide back down. A, B flat, as you can see, it's kind of challenging, but this is very important because having an awareness of where all the notes are on the instrument is paramount to getting a good sound. So I will demonstrate again. This is available in the PDF. This can be done on all four strings, although it'll be easiest on the G and D string. I will demonstrate again on the D string. As you get more comfortable, now that we've covered all of that, I'd like to show you, I guess you can kind of call it a diminished lick that I like to use in my playing. This is also available in the PDF. So I'll demonstrate slowly, but then I'll show you the way in which I use this lick kind of as a musical effect. So using D diminished, I basically do something like this. D, A flat, B, F, A flat, D, F, B, D, A flat, B, F, A flat, D, F, B. So you can practice that slowly. This also works with E diminished, E, G, B flat, E. So if I speed up that D diminished lick, this is kind of what it sounds like in real time. kind of like what I like to call running out the fingerboard. It's a really cool effect, and it's really just based on the chromatic scale. So I guess first I'll show you what I'm talking about, and then we'll slow it down. But let's say you're just walking along, then, I mean, that sounds pretty cool, right? I'll do it again. I mean, beyond a certain point, I'm just approximating. But the building blocks for this effect of running out the fingerboard is the chromatic scale. I mean, playing nice and slow. Whoops. And so forth, up the neck. And fast, it results in... In this idea of sound production, sound quality, everything we covered today, in the left hand, in the right hand, there's another place where sound exists, and it's in your head and it's in your heart. Once upon a time, I can't really remember where I was. I might have been living out in Utah at the time, but I attended a jazz education conference, and I heard Terrell Stafford speak about something that really caught my attention and captivated me at the time. And what he was speaking about was concept of sound. Now, what is concept of sound? Well, how are you even supposed to know what you want to sound like or what you're supposed to sound like if you don't know what other people sound like? I think in his case, he was talking about Miles Davis and Lee Morgan, he went and checked out these guys, and at the end of the day, the way he sounded was influenced by these people. For me personally, who do I want to sound like? What do I want to sound like? I mean, listening to Charlie Hayden, Scott LaFaro, John Patitucci, Dave Holland, all of these guys have so much to offer. It's not just about the notes they're playing, it's how they're playing them. You can go and study the theoretical side of things, what modes to play over what changes, but at the end of the day, all of those things are simply vehicles to making music. Music is made in real time, and when it's being played at its best and the highest level, you're really just there experiencing and witnessing what's happening within you and around you. So like I said, concept of sound, know who you like, know what you like, go out, check that out, get that in your ear, because that's where the sound really is. It's in your ear, it's in your heart, it's in your hands, and that's it.